When it comes to turning automotive trash into treasure, this project is in a league of its own. It all started when two brothers, finding themselves with some time on their hands, decided to spend $45,500 on a wrecked 2024 Nissan GTR from a salvage auction. Upon arriving at the pickup location, the brothers gave the chassis a quick once-over before loading the crippled supercar onto their trailer. After strapping it down securely, they began the journey home, ready to tackle the ambitious rebuild right in their own backyard. The first task back home was unloading the car. Using a forklift, they carefully lifted the GTR off the trailer and moved it to an open space in their yard. It was here, in the full light of day, that the true extent of the damage became terrifyingly clear. The entire front end had suffered a catastrophic impact, leaving the car in a truly sorry state. The brothers were momentarily stumped, unsure of where to even begin. This wasn't just any car, it was a GTR, a beast of a machine. A simple cut and weld repair on the frame was out of the question. Splicing the chassis together would severely compromise the car's structural integrity, making it dangerously incompatible with the powerhouse big heart sitting in the engine bay. As they inspected the car further, they found some good news. The passenger side was in much better shape, and the rear end had survived with surprisingly little damage, bringing a smile to their faces. To get a clearer picture, they started peeling back the waterproof tape covering the car. That's when they found it, a bullet hole in the windshield. This was definitely a salvage car with a story to tell. Opening the doors, they found the interior was in decent condition. Aside from the deployed airbags, it looked almost new. The engine bay, however, was a different story, a compressed mess of metal and components. Unable to fully assess the damage to the drivetrain, the brothers decided to give the car a thorough cleaning to make the upcoming inspection and disassembly easier. After a good wash, the GTR looked remarkably clean, almost like a new car, apart from the mangled front. The brothers noted that the odometer read just 3,000 miles, confirming this was a prime, low-mileage salvage find. Firing up the electronics, they discovered another surprise. The car was equipped with a Rolls-Royce-style Starlight headliner, a custom touch that maxed out the cool factor. With a full understanding of the car's condition, it was time to get to work. They started by removing the side skirts and attaching wheel dollies to the chassis to make it easier to move around. Their first stop was the Nissan dealership to order replacement parts, but the prices were staggering. A preliminary parts list came out to nearly $30,000. They quickly abandoned the idea of buying everything new from the dealer, but they did pick up a few essential components like control arms, brake rotors, and calipers, which still set them back nearly $8,000. The brothers explained that while used parts were available, they decided to bite the bullet and buy these critical components new to ensure the best possible performance and safety down the line. With new parts in hand, they dove into the teardown. It was immediately obvious that the entire cooling system, radiators, intercoolers, and supports was completely destroyed. The one silver lining was that the engine itself seemed to have been spared from the worst of the impact. Realizing they needed a new chassis, their new plan was to find a donor car to significantly reduce costs. They entered an auction for a 2009 GTR, but were ultimately outbid. Undeterred, they continued stripping down the wrecked 2024 model, removing the damaged doors and other salvageable parts. The scale of the disassembly was a massive challenge, but after tearing it down further, they reached a consensus. The 2024 frame was a lost cause. The new mission was to transplant its heart into a new body. Using an excavator, they carefully pulled apart the mangled front frame to gain access to the engine. They then raised the car on a lift to remove the underbody panels, revealing more torn metal underneath. The brothers meticulously disconnected the exhaust system, driveshaft, and the complex web of wiring, hoses, and sensors in the engine bay. They carefully bagged and labeled every component removed from the interior to avoid losing anything. After half a day of grueling work, the engine was finally free. The original 2024 chassis could now be retired for good. With no donor car yet, they focused their attention on prepping the engine, separating the damaged transmission and front differential. This process took the better part of a day, but brought more good news. The engine block itself was perfectly preserved, having survived the crash without major damage. Soon after, their luck changed. They won an auction for a white, flood-damaged 2011 GTR to serve as the donor car. Since the flood damage meant the car wouldn't start, they used a forklift to move it into their workshop. Cosmetically, the car was in excellent condition, but the salt water had wreaked havoc internally. The dashboard leather was cracked and peeling, and a look at the dipstick revealed a lumpy, emulsified sludge where the oil should be. The air filter was soaked with seawater. A look under the car, however, brought a wave of relief. The chassis and most of the underbody components were free of corrosion and perfectly usable. The first order of business was to drain the fluids. As they opened the oil drain plug, a disgusting mixture of seawater and oil poured out. They spent the better part of a day flushing the entire system to get all the water out. With the car drained, they began the careful process of disassembly. Since many parts from this donor car were in great shape, they worked with extreme precision. They knew that any parts they didn't use could be sold to other enthusiasts. The radiator assembly they removed, for example, would cost around $20,000 new from a dealer. Their entire donor car cost just over that, and it came with a treasure trove of other usable parts. This was the brilliant economy of using a donor car. The teardown continued until the 2011 GTR was nothing but a bare shell. Incredibly, after stripping everything away, they found the chassis had no signs of rust. For a 2011 car that had been submerged in salt water, this was nothing short of a miracle. Now, with a solid frame, the real build could begin. Since the GTR platform hasn't changed dramatically over the years, upgrading the 2011 body to 2024 specs was entirely feasible. The next step was prepping for paint. They removed the front and rear windshields and all remaining panels to get down to a bare metal shell. While the 2011 body was flawless, it lacked some of the structural reinforcement brackets found on the 2024 model. The solution? They would cut the reinforcement pieces off the wrecked 2024 frame and weld them onto the 2011 chassis. After grinding the paint off the contact points for a clean weld, they spent half a day meticulously transferring and welding the brackets into place. Next came the painstaking process of prepping the entire body for paint, sanding down minor imperfections and giving the whole chassis a deep clean. This step was critical for a quality paint job, so they spent 2 full days ensuring every nook and cranny was spotless. After a final sanding, they cleared away any remaining water dust and moved the car into a paint booth. To ensure the body was perfectly dry, they turned on the heaters to bake off any hidden moisture. While the body was drying, they mixed the paint, a stunning Nardo gray. The brothers explained that this color has a unique property, shifting its appearance depending on the intensity of the light. They applied 2 perfect coats, and the result was a finish that looked as good, if not better, than the factories. The color gave the car an aggressive, menacing look. With the body sorted, it was time to turn back to the engine. They had sourced a new timing cover and a host of other small parts. As they were disassembling it for the rebuild, they discovered a small crack in the engine block. Fortunately, it was in a non-critical area and wouldn't affect performance, which was a huge relief. Still, for peace of mind, they decided to have it professionally repaired. They loaded the engine into a truck and took it to a reputable local shop to have the crack expertly welded. Once the engine was back, they cleaned the mating surfaces and began reassembly with the new parts. With their experience, the brothers made quick work of it, and soon the engine was fully buttoned up and ready. Now for the grand union, bringing the brand new body and the refurbished drivetrain together. With 2 cars worth of parts to choose from, they had the luxury of picking the best of the best. Naturally, they prioritized the newer 2024 components. They methodically stripped the 2024 GTR of its entire wiring harness, suspension, dashboard, and interior, transplanting everything piece by piece into the freshly painted 2011 shell. The wiring harness was the most complex part, but their experience paid off, and they managed a perfect one-to-one transfer without much trouble. The chassis and suspension components followed, using the same remove one, install one method. The repaired seat leather and a full set of new airbags arrived just in time. They got to work immediately, installing the new curtain and steering wheel airbags. They also had to install a new airbag inside the seat before restitching the repaired leather cover.
With the seats back in, the interior was starting to look whole again. A shipment with the final major parts arrived, a brand new 2024 spec front and rear bumper kit. They did a quick test fit, and the new bumpers gave the car a much more aggressive and modern look than the 2011 originals. But they couldn't be permanently installed just yet. The big heart was still missing from the engine bay. Wasting no time, they mated the engine and transmission, and with the help of everyone in the shop, carefully lowered the complete powertrain into the car. After connecting the battery, they turned the key. The instrument cluster lit up instantly, a great sign that the complex wiring transplant was a success. Next up were the performance upgrades. A brand new set of adjustable coilovers would allow them to lower the car's ride height, reducing body roll and improving high-speed stability. Paired with a set of massive gold brake calipers, this GTR was now equipped to handle its immense power with confidence. The final major component was the cooling system, which they salvaged from the 2011 flood car. After a meticulous, deep cleaning to remove any residual salt or grime, they reassembled the various radiators and intercoolers and installed them in the car. The moment of truth had arrived, the first start. The engine fired up instantly on the first try, roaring to life with the ferocious sound of an untamed beast. The relief was palpable. This was the first time the engine had run since being pulled from the wreck. With the mechanicals largely complete, they filled the brake fluid and prepped for a shakedown run. They temporarily removed the front bumper and took the car to a closed-off road for its first test. The GTR was an absolute monster, unleashing its power in a way that few could handle. However, the test drive revealed a new problem, a loud, rhythmic clunking from the chassis.
Back on the lift, they quickly diagnosed the issue, a bad drive shaft. Luckily, they still had the drive shaft from the flood-damaged donor car. Despite a bit of surface rust, it was mechanically sound. After swapping it in, a quick check confirmed the noise was gone. A few more aggressive test runs confirmed that the car was now mechanically perfect. Now for the final finishing touches. They took the original doors, stripped off the old vinyl wrap and an underlying color change film, and prepped them for paint along with the other remaining body panels. After several coats of the Nardo Gray, the parts were transformed. One by one, they were installed back on the car, bringing the GTR to 90% completion. The original 2024 rear wing was also transplanted over. All that was left was the glass and the hood. The front and rear windshields went in without a problem. After a week-long wait, the final piece of the puzzle arrived, a stunning carbon fiber hood. With its installation, the build was complete. In the bright sun, the Nardo Gray paint took on a beautiful light blue hue. To celebrate months of hard work, they gave the reborn GTR a final, detailed cleaning. With the car gleaming, it was time for its official maiden voyage. On the open road, the brothers unleashed the car's full potential, the raw power and acceleration leaving the passenger absolutely speechless, his jaw dropped in amazement. And so, for the grand finale, let's sit back and enjoy the stunning performance of this one-of-a-kind resurrected GTR.